Hello, fellow Witcher fans. Today I am here to talk about Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski. This was the first Witcher book published, but it is the second chronologically. And I'm just going to be honest, if I had read this book first and had never heard of The Witcher, had never seen the TV series or anything like that, I would have been so confused and probably would not have read any more of the books because it would have been so confusing. That being said, there are still some very good parts in it. So it starts with a dragon story. If you have seen the Witcher series on Netflix, you'll know what I'm talking about. So just imagine that you haven't seen any other Witcher episode and you jump right in with the dragon episode. It would be very confusing because it's just throwing all these things at you. You obviously get pretty quickly that it's a magical world. It has sorcerers, it has dragons, there's kings and knights, so it's medieval times. But then there's this something called a Witcher. And you're like, what the hell is a Witcher? No idea. But throughout the novel, like, even if this was the first novel you've read of the Witcher series and haven't heard anything else about it, you kind of start to understand what a Witcher is. But it's still just kind of like, I jump right into the story with no explanation whatsoever. Good luck trying to figure out what the heck is happening. So that was definitely interesting. And to be honest, to me, the dragon story in the book was very boring. There was just a lot of dialogue that was basically about what are monsters and what are not, and should we kill them and should we not. And that to me was really boring after a while. Like at first it was very interesting, but it just kept going on for pages and pages. So that would have been another reason why I probably wouldn't have kept reading the book or the books if this had been the first book I had read, because it took me forever to get through the dragon storyline in this book. But after that, I really liked all the other stories in it because it is a collection of short stories for those of you who don't know. The first two Witcher books, so Sword of Destiny and The Last Wish, I think is the other one, are short stories. And then after that, he started writing like continuous novels, if that makes sense, instead of just a collection of short stories. But it was still really good. My favorite story was probably the one with Little Eye because the ending of that just hit hard, but was so true to what life is like. But it literally made me want to cry. And I'm not going to say why or what happened in it or anything like that, but that one just hit so hard at the end and was very powerful. And I loved it, but it was sad. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Other character-wise, Yennefer is still horrible. I literally don't see what Geralt sees in her. I don't get it. Like, is it just because she's pretty? Because if it is, he needs to drop her. Because I thought she was bad in the first book that I read, The Last Wish, so the first book chronologically. And she was horrible in that, and I thought she was even worse in this, so I really don't get why he likes her. But hopefully, I'm hoping that she'll have some character development in the next book that I read, or, well, I'm going to read all the Witcher books. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to read all of them because I'm just impatient and I can't wait for Netflix to make things. And there are some changes between the books and the Netflix series. I couldn't say Netflix there for a second. But I'm still going to read all the books. So I'm hoping that over the whole story that Yennefer gets some freaking character development. Otherwise, I'm just like, Geralt, please, get rid of her. She's awful. But I liked a lot of the stories. The characters, besides Yennefer, are still really good and well written, and I did enjoy the stories in Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski. And today, instead of like a normal question, it's just going to be my thoughts on dragons because, like I said, the story starts with dragons. It's very interesting to me that dragons are prevalent in a lot of cultures. But also, I feel like I wish there was some author, and if you have any authors or know of any books that kind of portray dragons differently than either knights are killing them because they think they're evil or they're pets to people, like, please let me know because I'd be interested in reading a book where it's, like, different than that. I don't really know. As a writer myself, I'm not really sure how I would make dragons original, but I haven't really thought about it myself, like, a lot. But I like that Andrzej Sapkowski made dragons and certain types of dragons more rare. So, for example, in the book, there's a golden dragon, which is really rare. But I like that because it's the same in nature. To see, for example, an albino lion is obviously way more rare than seeing a normal lion. And so I appreciated that even just like the color of the dragon scales was mentioned and how some are rarer than others because that's actually what nature is like. And yeah, so I really like dragons. I do think they're interesting. For some reason, I'm obsessed with statues of St. George slaying the dragon. I don't really know why. I've never even read like a version of the story of St. George slaying the dragon. There's just statues of him doing it all over Europe. And I really like to see how it's portrayed because sometimes the dragon's like a serpent, like literally a snake. And other times he's like this huge beast with like a beak on the end of his mouth, like rearing up to like get him. And St. George is like choking him out. I don't know why. Like, yeah, I just find the different depictions of that story very fascinating. So, if you have a favorite dragon story or know of some authors that have maybe done some creative things with dragons, definitely comment down below. And once again, this was Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski. I still definitely suggest it and the Witcher series, but I would definitely read The Last Wish first because it will help, especially if you don't know anything about The Witcher, have never seen the Netflix series. It will help a ton if you read that book first. Thank you again. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below about what you think about dragons. I post videos every Friday. Thank you so much, and have a great day.